Hello everyone. In the last video, we have seen how to solve a Fredholm integral equation of the second kind by using the Hilbert-Schmidt theory. Okay, and we found out the solution of Fredholm integral equation of second kind. Okay, when lambda is not the eigenvalue of the kernel kx comma t, and that solution we got it in the form of absolutely and uniformly convergent series. Okay, so that thing is very important there, that when lambda is not the eigen value, because because whatever solution we get, in that solution we have some term wherein this thing is involved, that is lambda m minus lambda, or maybe lambda minus lambda m. Okay, where these lambda m are the eigen values. Okay, and therefore if this lambda is not the eigenvalue, then this denominator will be non-zero for all the terms, and hence we have a well defined series that we get, and we get the solution. Okay, so that is what we saw in the last video, and today we will see how to find the solution of the Fredholm integral equation, which is of the type okay, I'll of this type. Okay, suppose f of x is equal to integral from k x comma t, then y of t dt. Okay, for this particular equation, how do we find out the solution? By using the Hilbert-Schmidt theory and something called as Rees-Fisher theorem, that we will see today. Okay, so before that, for finding the solution of this, I will need something called as Rees-Fisher theorem. Okay, so what is this Rees-Fisher theorem says? So this theorem says that if phi I of x, okay, is a given orthonormal set, in L2 norm, or L2 space, and this alpha I is any given sequence of complex numbers. That the series, this is very important, okay, such that the series summation mod of where r from 1 to infinity then there exists a unique f of x for alpha I are the Fourier coefficients with respect to the orthonormal set this phi I of x, okay, whatever we have already considered, and to which the series converges in the mean okay, that is this f of x minus summation I going from 1 to infinity alpha I phi I of x, no, this will go to 0 as, okay, I can put here n, as n goes to infinity. Okay, so what does this Ray's-Fisher theorem says? It says that suppose we have one orthonormal set of functions, suppose say phi I of x. So we have in this set what we have, phi 1 of x, phi 2 of x, and so on. Okay, this is a orthonormal set, and one more set we have which is of the complex numbers alpha 1, alpha 2, and so on. Okay, these set of complex numbers is such that if you consider this series of these complex numbers, this series will converge. Okay, suppose if this happens, then the Ray's-Fisher theorem says that there will exist some function, let us call that some function as f of x, such that this f of x will be
equal to this summation, that is this series alpha I phi I of x.
okay, I am writing here f of x equal to this series. Okay, see, when we write something of
It is I don't mean to say that exactly
equal to this, what I mean to say is if we compute this error, no, if we compute this quantity, okay, so this quantity it will go to 0 as n goes to infinity.
okay. So in other words, what does this mean? If suppose this quantity is going to 0 as n goes to infinity, what does that mean? Eventually, as n goes to infinity, f of x becomes equal to summation phi I of x. That is what this expression in red line here, it tells us. Okay, and therefore I am writing here like this, such that f of x is equal to this. Okay, so if we have one set of complex numbers such that this series is convergent of the square of the mod, okay, then and we have some orthonormal set, then the Ray's-Fisher theorem says that there will exist a function f of x such that that will be equal to this particular series. Okay, and
You will observe that if suppose we have these two sets, one and this is,
and this set 2 is satisfying this criteria, then in functional analysis your
first step
this set, this series alpha I into phi I of x is a convergent series. Okay, and by using that same thing here, this Ray's-Fisher theorem is framed. Okay, now the Ray's-Fisher theorem in addition to this also tells us that once this f of x becomes equal to the limit of this series, what are these alpha i's? These alpha i's are nothing but the Fourier coefficients of the to which this series is converging. Okay, this is very important. Okay, that these alpha i's are the Fourier coefficients of the function to which this particular series is converging. Okay, that means these alpha i's, they become exactly of this form. They are the Fourier coefficients. So it will be equal to the inner product of f with phi I. Okay, and therefore it is said here that they are the Fourier coefficients with respect to the orthonormal set phi I of x. The meaning of this is, with respect to the orthonormal set phi I of x means here we have phi I of x. Okay, and therefore this alpha I is called as the Fourier coefficient with respect to the set phi I of x. Okay, so it is not very easy to see why these alpha i's will come out to be equal to this. Okay, but everything happens smoothly here. The main reason is that this phi I of x is an orthonormal set. Okay, now you can get a better idea of this, and you will understand it. You can go through the, if you are interested, you can go through the proof of this theorem. Okay, you will have to refer to page number 163 and 164 from the functional analysis book by Kreyszig. Okay, in these two pages they have nicely given the theory of best approximation, and they have given some theorem. Okay, whatever this Ray's-Fisher theorem statement is there, this statement is given there just as a theorem without any name. Okay, and they have several equivalent statements there. So those who are interested, you can actually go back and check there. I don't know if this is done with your, must be done in your functional analysis paper. Okay, so this is what the Ray's-Fisher theorem says. That is, if we have the orthonormal set and one set of complex numbers such that this series of squares of the modulus of those complex numbers is convergent, then this particular series here, this particular series will converge. Okay, so basically it is saying that there will exist a function such that that function will be equal to the limit of this series. Okay, that is what the Ray's-Fisher theorem says. Now we will be using this Ray's-Fisher theorem while finding the solution of our Fredholm integral equation. Okay, it would be really nice if you can go back to the Kreyszig book and check how we get this to be the Fourier coefficients and how it becomes a convergent series and all. Okay, this condition becomes very important there, this summation mod alpha I square. Okay, this series is convergent. Only under that condition we will have this series convergent. Okay, so now we will move on to the integral equations part. So we want to find out Fredholm integral equation of the first kind. Okay, and we will consider this equation f of x to be equal to integral from kx comma t y of t dt. Let me name this equation as star. Okay, where k x comma t is a symmetric L2 kernel. Okay, then suppose lambda 1, lambda 2 and so on, lambda k are the eigenvalues and xi 1, xi 2, xi k and so on are the corresponding eigen functions. Then we have if suppose these are the things, then we already know this relation, that is fk is equal to gk, sorry, in this case it will be yk by lambda k, and this will imply that yk is nothing but fk into lambda k. Okay, now why do we have this relation, from where? That is from the Hilbert-Schmidt theorem. Okay, so if you go back and check what was the Hilbert-Schmidt theorem saying, if suppose we have some function which can be written in this form, that is here whatever is there in equation star. Okay, if we have some function which can be written in this form, that is integral from kx comma t uh, y of t dt, okay, where all these are kx comma t is a L2 kernel and y of t is a L2 function. Okay, then what was the Hilbert-Schmidt theorem saying? It was saying that we can get the we can get such an expression for the what is that, the function f of x. I think I used the g of t, and yes, instead of y of t in the Hilbert-Schmidt theorem, I have used the function g of t. Okay, but that you can understand it. Okay, just the change of notation. Okay, and then what we were getting? We were getting the relation like this, right? So whatever are these fm's, so fm is equal to the Fourier coefficient of the function f of x, okay, was equal to this gm by lambda m. Okay, so in this case, instead of gm I have used, instead of g I have used the function y. Okay, and what was the main statement of the theorem, Hilbert-Schmidt theorem? It was saying that if f of x is a function satisfying all these conditions, okay, and we know the eigenvalues and eigenfunctions of the kernel kx comma t, then we can write this f of x in the form of series, which is of this form, fk into xi k of x, k going from 1 to infinity. That is what the Hilbert-Schmidt theorem said. Okay, and what is this fk? So this fk will have a relation with the Fourier coefficients of this function, okay, whatever is there inside the integral. And what was that relation? That relation was nothing but this, that is fk is equal to yk by lambda k. This is what the Hilbert-Schmidt theorem said. So by using that, here I have written fk is equal to yk by lambda k. Okay. Now, if I want to determine the solution of this particular equation star, that means I want to determine what is y of t. Okay. So now we will be interested in finding what is this function y of x. Okay. So here, if you see, now we are going to apply the Ray's-Fisher theorem. So at this step, from Ray's-Fisher theorem, we get that either the infinite series summation fk square lambda k square diverges, or if this diverges and equation star has no solution, or this series converges and there exists a unique L2 function g of x, which is a solution of equation star. Okay, and this is given by, the solution will be given by g of x to be equal to limit as n goes to infinity summation lambda k square f k square xi k of x, k going from 1 to n. Okay, so now once we have this here, okay, so fk is equal to yk by lambda k, where what are lambda k? Lambda k are the eigenvalues of the symmetric L2 kernel kx comma t. Okay, then we get that yk is equal to lambda k fk. Okay, now if you see what are these yk? Yk is nothing but the Fourier coefficient of the function y of x. Okay, so it is something of this into xi I. Okay, that is xi k. Yk is nothing but y comma xi k. So if suppose now we are not looking at this yk, we are looking at this series lambda k fk. Okay, so now let us consider the sequence. Now we are trying to apply the Ray's-Fisher theorem. Okay, so what do we need? We need the set of orthonormal functions and we need a set of complex numbers. So in this case, our set of orthonormal functions is xi I of x. Okay, because already they are the eigen functions. Okay, corresponding to distinct eigenvalues. Okay, so they are already orthogonal to each other, and then we can easily make them orthonormal by dividing it by its norm. Okay, so hence this is the set of, or this is the orthonormal set, and now we want one set of complex numbers. What are those? Lambda I, fi. Okay, so fi is what? Fi is a constant because it is the inner product, right? Fi means what? Inner product of the function f with xi I. So therefore it is also a constant, and therefore lambda I into fi is a set of complex numbers. Okay, and this xi I of x is a set of orthonormal functions. Now what does the Ray's-Fisher theorem says? It says that suppose if we have this series, the square of mod of this series. Okay, so mod of these numbers and its square. Okay, so already that mod, because this is a symmetric kernel. Okay, all these lambda i's will be real. Okay, and you can also observe that these fi's will also be real. Okay, because we are dealing with only the real functions. Okay, and therefore instead of that mod I can just write the square of these terms. So what it will be? Lambda I square fi square. Okay, just Okay, here I have used the suffix k, no? We'll use that same suffix k. So this is xi k of x, this is lambda k of fk. Okay, so here we will have lambda k square fk square and I going from 1 to infinity. So Ray's-Fisher theorem says that if suppose this series is convergent, then this series is convergent, that is whatever are these constants, so it will be lambda k fk um, yes, lambda k fk into xi k. Okay, so in the Ray's-Fisher theorem it was this alpha I into phi I. Okay, but what are our alpha i's here? They are this lambda k into fk, and what are our phi i's? They are xi k's. Okay, so Ray's-Fisher theorem says that if suppose this square series is convergent, this series 1, then this series will converge. Okay, and if there will, that means in other words the Ray's-Fisher theorem is saying that if suppose this series 1 is convergent, then there will exist a function such that that function will become equal to this series 2 as n goes to infinity. Okay, okay, and further to that it also says that this quantity, okay, they become the Fourier coefficient of that particular function. Okay, so in our case, what does this theorem say? What we can conclude? We can conclude that if suppose this series 1 is convergent, then we will get the solution, and if suppose this series 1 is not convergent, then we will not get a solution. Okay, because see, if suppose this series 1 is not convergent, then we this series 2 will also not be a convergent series. Okay, in fact, when we talk about convergence of series 2, the statement is like uh, this series 2 will converge if and only if series 1 is convergent. Okay, now why I am making this statement, that is again from your functional analysis. Okay, so in that crazy book they have actually shown that this alpha I square, this is convergent, then this series is convergent. Okay, and they have also shown the reverse part. Okay, so that you can see in your functional analysis book. Okay, so I will not go into that, but what we are interested here is in the solution. So if this series 1 is not convergent, then we will not get a function to which this series 2 is converging, and hence we will not get a solution of the given equation. On the other hand, if suppose series 1 is convergent, then the series 2 will become convergent. Okay, and Ray's-Fisher theorem says that there exists a unique function to which this series 2 will converge. Okay, so whatever is that function, it will be a unique one. So that that thing has to be nothing but equal to our uh, solution, that is g of x. Sorry, that is y of x. Okay, so therefore it says that if suppose this series fk square and lambda k square converges, and then there exists, no, here it should be and only. Yeah. And there exists a unique function, L2 function g of x, which is a solution of equation star, and that solution is given by g of x equal to limit as n goes to infinity summation k going from 1 to n lambda, okay, it should not be this lambda k square, it should be just lambda k f k xi k of x. Okay, now you must be thinking like how from here I know that series 2 is convergent, okay, and there exists a unique function to which this series 2 converges, okay. So whatever is that function, okay, it has to be equal to this y of x. And why is that? That is because uh, there exists a unique function to which this series will converge, okay. And we can actually show that this series 2 is a solution of the given equation, this given equation star. And how is that? How do we check that? So in place of y of t, I will have to substitute that series representation. And once I put that, then I will be able to show that it is the function f of x. Okay. So that is nothing but I want to show that f of x is equal to integral k x comma t summation lambda k f k xi k of x, okay, sorry, xi k of t dt, okay, because this is our y of t, okay. So here this can be done by using some arguments of the major theory, okay. I think there is some theorem which is done in major theory which tells you that in this case when these are the L2 functions, okay, you can change the summation and integral sign, okay. This part is not there for you all, but I'm just briefing you all about this, so if someone is really interested can go back and check how it is done. So here then what will happen is this summation and integral sign can be interchanged. Okay, so we can write this as summation integral of k x comma t. Okay, I'm just taking RHS. Okay, and RHS I will show it to be equal to f of x. Then only I can say that this series 2 is a solution. Okay. So this kx comma t into lambda k f k xi k of t dt. Okay. So here this lambda k f k, these are the constants. So we can write them as lambda k f k. Inside what it will be? It will be kx comma t into xi k of t dt. But what is this quantity kx comma t xi k of t dt? This is nothing but xi k of x. Why? Because this whatever you can see, okay, is the xi k of x is an eigenfunction of kernel of corresponding to eigenvalue lambda k. Okay, so this thing, it becomes the so this integral from kx comma t xi k of t dt is nothing but xi k of x, okay, because xi k of x is the solution of homogeneous Fredholm integral equation which is of this type, right? Some function y of x equal to lambda times integral k x comma t y of t dt. Okay, so when I say that xi k of x is an eigenfunction, that means corresponding to eigenvalue lambda k. What does that mean? It means that xi k of x satisfies this equation. Okay, this equation, and satisfies the equation means what? It should be xi k of x is equal to lambda k into integral kx comma t xi k of t dt. Okay, and therefore this becomes equal to what? Xi k of x by lambda k. Okay. uh, So we can also take this. So instead of dividing of that lambda k, we can take this full expression here. Okay. So this lambda k along with this is what? Is nothing but xi k of x. Okay. So what we will get here? So we will get that this is equal to summation f k xi k of x. Okay, and now what is this? This is nothing but the fk is what? Fk is the Fourier coefficient of the function f of x. Okay, with respect to the orthonormal set xi k of x, and therefore what will happen to this particular series? By Hilbert Schmidt theorem, what we will get? This is nothing but equal to f of x. Okay, so we have shown that actually this series 2 becomes the solution of that particular integral equation. Okay. So we were trying to find out the solution of equation star, and we get that if suppose this series in the box, in this green box, okay, if this series is, we have to just look at this series, and depending on the nature of this series we will conclude whether the solution, whether there is a solution or there is no solution. Okay, so if this square series diverges, then equation star will have no solution, whereas if this square series converges, then there will be a solution of equation star, and that solution will be given by this particular expression. Okay. One problem on this topic, I will solve it completely and share in the classroom. Okay, you will have to go through that.